widely used drug on the planet. We know it's a drug, we know we're addicted to it, right? If we stop drinking it for 2 days, we'll get a migraine headache. Withdrawal symptoms like any other drug. All right, how's everybody doing? What is new?
I started a petition to get the washer and dryer.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Okay. How many people signed it so far?
About 30.
Hmm. What's up with the washer and dryers here?
They're constantly going out of order. It's either one is working or the other, and we're a whole building, and we rely on just two. It should be two washers, but most of the time it's just one.
For like the whole
Yes.
dormitory? There's only 2 washers and 2 dryers?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that sucks. So what have you been doing in the meantime? Is it like a thing where you have to wash clothes 2 times for it to be clean, or you gotta dry it twice for it to be dry?
No, it's just we have to use. We might have like 3 loads, and we have to do it one at a time, and each wash.
Which is not enough.
Yeah, each wash is like 35 minutes, so it's like 35 times 3 because
Yeah.
we're doing 3 loads. So it's
So they need to update for shorter cycle times, right?
that, or just adding another washer so that you can do 2 at a time. Because again, we would have 2 at a time, but most of the time the other one isn't working. If surprisingly it's working, then there's still that there is people using the washers, and you have to wait.
Just gotta wait.
And there's no line or like schedule where you can like come and wash your clothes.
Yeah.
So it's just like
First come, first served.
Yes.
So no order and not enough washer and dryers. Who here lives on the actual campus? Who here doesn't live? Okay, interesting. So how many dormitory rooms are there? Wait, how many floors are they with? 6 floors full of rooms.
I would say
I think it's
five.
just one floor.
No, actually it's 4 because the second and first floor are not for students.
Gotcha. And, is it co-ed? Is it mixed, male, female, or?
So there's a all females floor, there's an all males floor, and then there's a floor that is, one side is females, one side is males.
Gotcha. And is it, 2 people to a dorm, 1 person to a dorm room, or?
Yeah, but some
Both.
people don't have a roommate. So there's like 5 rooms.
Okay.
there's 5 rooms and 1 suite. Each room has 2 people that are supposed to be in there, but some people don't have a roommate.
Sometimes you get lucky and I'll have one there. All right, anything else? Anything exciting over last week? All right, moving along. All right, so last class we kind of talked about the physical development through infancy and toddlerhood, right? We talked about things like proximal distal growth, right? Growing either longitudinal, latitudinal, growing out widthwise, measuring to see the development of that. Baby's head is constantly getting larger. Most of his mass is at his head. And now we're going to discuss, the cognitive part, right? What is it like? It's almost like an alien. Baby is introduced to this new environment, and nothing really makes that much sense, right? It has to take time and learn about things in order for it to make sense. Space doesn't make sense, so distance, right? Remember we said on the physical part, some babies can't see beyond maybe like almost 2 feet that clearly, right? So distance is an issue. Pattern recognition. How to recognize if something like a pattern on a tile floor doesn't make you fall off into the floor. How to know that it's the same level, right? So a lot to learn. How will a baby learn that, hey, if something disappears behind a wall, that is not gone forever, it just moved. There's still something behind the wall, right? Or if we play peekaboo, that we didn't just disappear forever behind our hands, that we're still here behind our hands. right? See, like, hey, this is all things about learning, about memory, pattern recognition, language, how baby can form sounds, right? And basic sounds begin to increase into more complex sounds, right? Putting syllables together to form words to form sentences, and all of the above. So we'll kind of start from the beginning and see how far we get. All right, schema. Anyone ever heard this word before? Schema in psychology. Anyway? All right, we say, hey, we all have schemas. We have a concept. Schema is a mental concept. It's like you have a concept of what a car is. Like, oh, a car has 4 wheels. It looks like this. It looks like that. This is a car, but that's not a car. That's something else. This is that, right? So we say children start to develop early stages of developing schemas, right? Trying to make sense, organize things to be separate from other things, right? How to know that a cat is not a dog. What is the different properties and attributes, cat, dog, etc., etc. All right, so we say schemas start to develop and get a little bit more complex at time. So we say, hey, schemas also involved with how we interact with the world. If one thing does something, is it relative to something else? Does it have a relationship? Things of that nature, right? All right, next we have assimilation. We say, hey, how do you assimilate maybe properties of one thing towards properties of another? For example, you go back, all right, let's say baby starts to say cat, right? Cat. And it sees a cat in the house. And then it also notices that cat has a fur, it has 4 legs, etc., etc. Now it sees a hamster in the house. And it starts to call it hamster cat, right? What is it doing? Like, well, it's assimilating pre-existing knowledge about certain features and characteristics to something that seems very similar, right? So it can't differentiate, but it has assimilated, like, well, that's interesting. You notice that a cat has fur, and maybe the hamster has fur, the cat has 4 legs, the hamster has 4 legs, there's a tail, this tail, right? So we say assimilating pre-existing knowledge to something else, right? That's what this assimilation is all about. Now we say, hey, you know what? Accommodation, right? Like there's something new, that a new animal that's introduced into the environment, something completely new. Maybe say like a rabbit. So let's say someone else in the house got a pet rabbit, and baby starts to notice, like, all right, the hamster looked a little bit more similar, maybe to the cat in the way that it walks. And you see the way a rabbit kind of moves, and like, okay, it looks completely different. These ears are much longer, right? So how do you accommodate old information with new information, right? So you say you can be confused, right? And we know baby's confused just by its response, right? It would make respond with shock. You're like, oh, you know, baby is shocked. It's trying difficult to accommodate new information. So we say this new information did not fit the previous information, and that's why it's a sense of shock. So we think about that even with faces, right? We say baby obviously has a preference for mom's face, and probably dad's, depending on how much dad is actually around all the time, right? So like baby has a preference for faces that it recognizes all the time, in a hierarchy. Mom first, maybe brothers and sisters, and dad second. But like if there's someone new who doesn't come there all the time, baby forgets. So each time baby sees maybe the uncle, like it starts crying. Like why is it baby always cry with you? No, it doesn't like you, right? Now, not necessarily, baby just forgot who you are that quick, right? So you're like, baby needs constant attention and presence for things to be kind of recognizable all the time. Cognitive equilibrium, we say this is a balance between the process of assimilation and accommodation, right? We say eventually babies should adapt new information with pre-existing information and finally have an aha moment to say, oh, rabbit and cat are two different things. And maybe it will not call the rabbit a cat, it may call it something else. Right? It may start to form words that show something else. And you're like, well, that's a healthy development. It's starting to differentiate categories of things. We know that's very important when it comes to concepts. Right now we say, hey, you know what can impact this is the nurturing aspect of being a parent. Are you reinforcing that this is something different? Are you saying, no, not a cat, this is rabbit, or you just let it be? Now if you just let it be, the baby could get confused, right? And we call that kind of cognitive disequilibrium, a state of confusion where you still kind of think the two things are similar, but they're actually not, right? So like some things that can kind of help this in this stage is reinforcing, right? Repeating words about what each animal would be, right? Like, this is a cat, right? Repeating, letting maybe the baby touch it and say cat, repeat, touch the dog, or there's a dog and say dog, so that the baby can start to quickly have equilibrium, right? It adapts, quickly evolving and adapting new information with the pre-existing information. Well, think about this. This doesn't change. We do this all the time. You go to any class and you hear new terminology, new concepts, and all these different things. You're assimilating or adapting. You're like, oh, that makes sense. That's kind of relative to some other course I took, right? It sounds similar to a word that I know, and I can use that previous word to make sense of this new word because it sounds so similar. It doesn't stop, but for baby, this is moving quickly, right? Because everything is new. Everything in the environment is primarily a new thing. All right, so remember we talked about these theories. It was like, hey, we're gonna, Freud had those psychosexual stages, and then we said Piaget, who was huge when it comes to schools and education and learning. Piaget focuses on the cognitive parts, all right? So a lot of these theories is Piaget, all right? So never forget Piaget because basically how all K through 12 classes are set up and how everything's developed, right? Kind of works on the system based off of his theories. So we talk about Piaget stuff, right? So cognitive developmental theories, first stage we say sensory motor reasoning. Right, sensory motor. Baby can't have abstract thought. Baby has limited language. So how does it gain new information? How does it convey information or expressions? Everything's physical, right? So primarily, like in the early infant stage, remember we said that's like the oral stage. Everything's in the mouth. Everything is like want to taste what, like, hey, want to taste the color. Making sense of red. Does red taste different than blue or something, right? You and I have abstract thinking and experience, so we know that there's no difference, just a piece of plastic. Tastes like crap either way, right? But for baby, it's still trying to make sense of, do shapes have taste? Does color have taste? Or is there something else behind it? So it's using a lot of sensorimotor information, right? So we say mental representation, thinking about objects using mental pictures. Infants must experience an object to be able to think about it. So you and I don't have to experience with an object. We can think about space. We might think about galaxies and black holes, stars and these things. But you're like, baby has to have an